Yep. Years ago today, right there, babe. Made the worst decision you ever made. That was the big cabin we all stayed at. There's a bunch of us in there. This one my family stayed in. Right here, and then we just went down the hill to get married. Had our reception in the big one.
And that one is our honeymoon suite. So that's where we stayed the night of our wedding, and then we left the next day.
Okay, we are back home from our little 24-hour 10-year anniversary getaway, and man, did we have an absolute blast. It's one of the reasons we moved down here to southeastern Kentucky was to be close to Gatlinburg, which is our favorite place to be, and we really got to we get to go down there often. Benny. And so it was nice to be able to get away for 24 hours. So we got to go down to Gatlinburg, just do a quick getaway for our 10-year anniversary. We had our big one over the New Year's when we went down to, finally our honeymoon for our 10-year anniversary. And so that was awesome. We really enjoyed being down there. The coolest thing though was that we got to actually go into our chapel that we got married into. Every year when we go down there, if it's around our anniversary, we like to go in front of it and take our annual picture, which if you got yesterday's video, we did a slideshow, and you can see where the waterfall is and the chapel is, and that's exactly where we got married. But yesterday the light was on, so I was like, let's see if it's open, and it was, and nobody was in there, so we was able to like stand at our altar. We got to see how small it was and how many people we jam-packed into this place, which was awesome. And it was just nice to be able to get in there. It was quite the 10-year anniversary gift to be able to do so. So I think one Friday, I forget which Friday it was. It might not even been Friday, but I'm kind of making it a Friday thing. I kind of like it. I'm sitting up here at the barn because it's kind of capping off the week. I'm getting ready for the weekend. Wyatt and I, which was nice. We're doing more. Wyatt and I just got done milking Daisy, so that was good. And having just a nice, calm morning. So I was thinking about the video I did about loss and death with you all. And I thought today would be a good time to talk about love. So it's important to reflect on all things, good and bad. This one I'm reflecting on the good, which is the love after Jen and I had just clipped over our 10-year anniversary, which is a big milestone. Obviously, we have many, many more years to go. And hope, pray to God that that's the case and their health stays great, but many more years to go. But 10 years is a big milestone. And so a lot of this week, her and I have been reflecting on what our past 10 years look like. And it's been wild. It's been a wild 10 years when you actually start trying to put photos together to kind of tell a story of what your 10 years looks like. Obviously, you could have thousands of pictures and it could be a 10-hour video. But trying to narrow it down to about one song was something else. The song specifically, let's talk about that. So if you all watch YouTube or have YouTubers, you know that we can't use mainstream music. It's all copyrighted, we can't do it, or we don't make any money. So that video, Mr. Luke Bryan, that's my donation to you for our love story. But that song specifically is very important to Jen and I. So that song is actually called Too Damn Young by Luke Bryan. And it connects to us so much because there was a moment when Jen and I were kind of starting to talk, I guess you could say. And I was ready for more of a commitment. I know, funny, it was more me than her. But I was ready for more of a commitment. And back in that time, we were big boaters. We were always on the lake. And it was coming up on Memorial Day. And we always had a big kickoff like a lot of Americans do, where we're going to have a camping trip and go boating. And so I invited her to come with us on a Memorial Day weekend trip. And at first, it was kind of like, I don't know. And then literally the day that we are headed to the campground, my dad and I, we were headed there to go ahead and start getting stuff set up at the campsite while people were getting off work. And then they were going to join us later. Well, she texted me. She's like, I'm coming. It lit me up. It was like, okay, here's the commitment. She made the decision. She's going to try this. She's trusts me, and we're going to do this. And not to drag the story on too long, that song specifically, there's a lot of stuff that happened that weekend that resonates exactly with that song. And it's perfect. It's one of those, we have a whole list of songs that kind of tell our love story that we actually wrote down and are in our safe for our kids. So whenever we pass and they get to go through our safe and stuff, they can find and hopefully listen to one day. But that one was the start of our relationship, and it was very fitting for a 10-year anniversary slideshow. So that was very important to us. But what I really want to talk about is love in general and marriage in general. Obviously, we've been married 10 years. That's not a lot of years, I guess you could say, under the belt from experience compared to some others. But in 10 years, you learn a lot, and you learn a lot about marriage. You learn you're growing up. You're becoming adults. Depending on when you got married, we got married when we got together when we was 22, married when we was 23, and had Wyatt when we was 23. So it was a very bam, bam, bam situation. So we, you always think at that age that you're more of an adult than you are. Maturity-wise, and so we knew we were ready, but there was a lot of things for me specifically that I still needed to grow up to. And as I was looking back at those pictures and stuff, I remember things that I thought at that time that now as I've grown older, I wouldn't do the same way. And so what I mean by that is like stopping and taking pictures, doing long trips, doing stuff that I didn't find fun. Now, as I'm more of a father and husband and getting older, and now I'm into my mid-30s, I'm reflecting on, I'm that guy now. I like to stop and take pictures. It's probably Wyatt and Raylan in the background like, come on, Dad. But I'm the one that wants to do more of that. And it's funny how we grow. But the one thing that always stayed consistent with our marriage, which I think is a little unique, is it was marriage first. So we always had our marriage first and foremost on the docket. And then, I know this is going to sound crazy, but like our children, Daisy, our children were next. I don't want to say second, but they were next. Because our philosophy is if the marriage isn't perfect, your children are not going to be happy. Like, it's not going to be well for your children. It's not going to reflect to them what a good marriage should look like, what a good husband should look like, what a good mother and wife should look like. And so we wanted to make sure that we were first. So sometimes, we'll prioritize ourselves over doing another thing with the kids because we want to make sure that we're having that time for us and that we're great. So then that bleeds into our children and it just rolls over to our children. So they always see us at our best selves. And we're working out anything that maybe within a marriage that you need to talk about is worked out instead of putting that on the back burner and saying, okay, let's go do something with the kids. And then they see our attitudes not being the best that they are because we have an unresolved issue within our marriage or just we haven't had time within our marriage to have a good day together. So that's what we always plan to do. And what we've been doing over this past 10 years is making sure that we stay best friends. Because we are best friends, and that's why we got married. Secondly, about love specifically, when Jen and I were growing up, we had a few moments that were like, there's something here. Like, we can feel it. We were at friend's house. Next thing we know that it's just her and I talking, and we've been talking for hours. But she was always in a relationship. And we've told kind of our love story a few times, but what I'm getting at is it's always one of those that like it seemed like we attracted to each other. And that had my curiosity piqued, and I ain't gonna lie, I kind of just like social media stalked and just waited to see if there was any moment that maybe her current relationship wasn't going great. And then, there was the one night at the bar, she and her ex at the time was having, I guess, a difficult time. And it's just, we attracted to each other. Like, we came right back to where we left off from the last time we had one of those moments. But this one got a little bit more serious. And I knew right then and there that she was the woman I wanted to marry and that I was in love with her. And I don't know how to explain it because I know it sounds, just cliche and silly, but I did. Jen likes to watch reality shows sometimes. That's her guilty pleasure that we enjoy to do after a long day on the farm. Just watching some what we call trash TV. Nothing serious, it's just something to get your mind off everything else. Well, a lot of those are kind of these like marriage trial stuff, like Married at First Sight, and this new one like kind of Love is Blind stuff and everything, and trying to just do things interesting. Whatever, it's reality TV. It doesn't really matter. But some of the things that they keep saying is like, I like you and I can see myself falling in love with you, or I'm getting there. I can see us being together forever. But all I'm hearing is, I think I could settle with you and things would be great and we would have a great marriage. And I feel so bad for people that have that mindset. Like they've gotten to this hopeless piece of their mind that they're not going to just fall in love. They're not going to be in love with someone almost instantly because you know that everything just matches, everything's connected, and you can like literally know that you want to spend the rest of your life with them. I feel so bad for some of the younger generation that does feel like they're just settling. They're settling because maybe time and age is not on their favor, because you know that's a big thing, especially in these small towns. If you're getting older, it's like, what's wrong with you? But it's not what's wrong with you, it's you're not settling. You're not settling for just getting by and saying, yeah, with you it could work. It needs to be more passion in there, because I'm telling you, the settle will end up dying. Because there's going to be stuff that isn't meshing, and then it'll end up in divorce, and that's what we have, the same old story that's always going on. Then if you have children, now they're in a divorce situation, and things like that are going to happen. But there are stuff that we can see at the beginning that can potentially prevent that. And so I know most of our viewing audience, you all that watch us, are actually, most of you all are older than us. So I might not be talking to many, but if there is any younger generation that's out there and you're starting to get into that time where you're thinking about marriage, you're thinking about babies, you know, don't settle. And it's so easy to say, but you can see it. Once the blinders are gone, you can see it, that if it's like, I'm just settling because I think that it would be fine to hang out with this person for the rest of my life, know it from the pit of your belly that you are so in love with that person that you want to spend the rest of your life with them. You don't want to just say, it'll be fine. You want to. And I promise you, that'll be the basis of a great relationship, because you don't want to be the one that's saying, well, we'll wait till the kids go to college and then, you know, we'll probably get divorced after that, just so the kids. Go back to my death video. Trauma and pain doesn't change because your kids get out of college or they get out of the house. They're still going to have the trauma of a divorce no matter what age it is. So we as human beings can try to do our best to make sure that we are falling in love with the people that we want to be with, and we're not settling with someone that we just think the rest of life would be okay with. That's my ramble about love. I obviously, I'm an old farmer out here, got my work shirt on because I'm getting ready to do a lot of work today. So just take it from somebody that's just happy, right? You know, it's just wanting to make sure that you know that true love is out there, and with patience you can find it. And sometimes it's with someone that's in a relationship that you don't think will ever be out of a relationship, which was Jen and I's story. But patience. Don't care about the number that's beside your name on age. Just care about the person that you're going to spend the rest of your life with, and make the memories that you just are so happy for. Speaking of memories, it is time for Jen and I to now think about the next 10 years, which, do we have some ideas. What in the world do you all eat? I don't know. So for the next 10 years, Jen and I, we've been kind of sitting down and thinking about what the future looks like. In 10 years, we'll be mid-40s. I will have, 10 years? Wow, it'll be, because he turns 10, he'll be 20. And Raylan, she turns 8 this year, so she'll be 18. So we'll have a 20 and an 18-year-old in 10 years from now, which is crazy to think about. So obviously in the next 10 years, there's going to be a lot of preteen, teen, thinking that they know what they're talking about kind of stuff going on in our future. So that's going to be fun. But when it comes to the farm itself, we have a lot of ideas that we want to do. We definitely want to make some major improvements. But I think last night we settled on kind of the very next project that needs to be done to set us up for what we want. So we'll get into details about that some other time. But, you know, make sure that you're always thinking with your spouse, what's that next big picture thing that we want to do? And just kind of start chugging along with it, because it can seem overwhelming, but as most of y'all know, 10 years goes by fast. It might not feel it at the moment, but when you reflect back, you're like, man, that flew by. How did we get here? So it's important to just keep, notching it out. A little bit more improvements every day, right? But yeah, so we have a lot of that coming. Hopefully it all comes to fruition. A lot of it's about money and time, and finding people that'll help you work, or that'll actually work. And so all that's, up in the air that we got to figure out, but we know what we want to do. We just got to start making it happen. So y'all, help me out. Go down in the comments. Wish a ginormous happy anniversary to my beautiful best friend, wife, Jen. I've never been happier in my life, and I can't wait for 50, 60, 70 eternity with my wife out of this. Death shall do us part, officially. We mean it. We have matching tattoos. And I think we're actually gonna get some other ones with like some dashes of how long we've been married. So we're committed. We're committed. I might be getting a wedding ring tattoo at some point, because this is a tungsten, I think, or whatever, and it's all chipping and everything. I was like, well, daggone. So I don't want it to break, and because it's the one that I had when we got married 10 years ago. Anyways, I'm starting to ramble. But other than that, y'all, I hope you all have a great weekend. It looks like we're getting cold again, which kind of a bummer, but just keep paying attention to that. If you're the gardener that's watching, keep looking at your 10-day forecast. Don't get too excited just yet. We have last frost dates and Old Farmer's Almanac and Planting by the Signs, all there for a reason. You might feel like you've been 80 degrees for 3 weeks in a row, but right before that frost, I'm telling y'all, it's gonna hit again. And so just be patient, just get your cold stuff out there and keep babying all your hot stuff, and we'll be planting before you know it. Other than that, y'all, if you're new around here, hit that subscribe button. We love y'all from the bottom of our hearts, and until the next one, bye.